All right, welcome to everyone who has joined so far. Going to give it another 60 seconds or so for those who are slightly tardy to join the webinar, and then we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. So please just bear with me another minute or so. All right, looks like we've got the majority of our group today. I want to thank you first and foremost very much for joining the webinar. We have a very exciting and new tool to offer all of you, and today that's what we're going to focus on. Before we get into really the main section of the webinar, the meat and potatoes, which is our new general liability comparative rating tool, I just want to go over some logistics with everyone. So you are on listen only mode, and that's just to make sure we have a smooth presentation and good recording so that actually I can follow up with any of you who want more information or to maybe share this with your team. I can absolutely look to do that. However, this is very interactive. So throughout the presentation, if you have a question, if you need clarification, if you're just not sure about something, you should have a chat or a Q&A section somewhere towards the bottom of your screen. I will do my best to monitor that throughout the presentation, but if I do not get you an answer during the session today, I will follow up with you afterwards. So a little bit about myself. I do want to introduce really just what I do at J.E. Brown. So my name is Alvin, and I am the Director of Sales and Marketing. And what does that mean? It's really, I lead all of the sales and marketing efforts that we do. So we have a team of 6 insurance professionals that really their main focus is building a relationship with you and making sure your experience with us is positive. And at the end of the day, to make sure you can place business quickly without much back and forth. And a lot of it is independent, and really they focus on making that experience positive for you. If you're not sure who that person is, please just go ahead and chat in right now. Who is my regional sales manager? I will get you their contact information. And each one of you has a dedicated person whose main job is just to help you navigate J.E. Brown. So if you're not sure, just let me know and I'll get you the contact information for that person. So going to jump into really the new tool that we have for all of you. So I'm sure you're familiar with logging into jebrown.net. What you see on the screen, as at least what you should see, is our homepage. We have a new featured product that's going to be Blitz Insurance. So they are really a cannabis insurance solution for really cannabis and any ancillary products, whether that's the dispensary, the grower, some ancillary businesses such as like smoke shops that sell CBD and anything related to cannabis insurance. Very easy to use, single sign-on friendly, so you can go actually and quote in the system directly from your dashboard. You don't need another set of credentials. And we're having a lot of success in California specifically, but really anywhere you are licensed and Blitz is writing insurance, you are free to place business with them. So J.E. Brown homepage, you log in here, it's going to take you immediately to your dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So this is the new section that you may not be familiar with. This is a typical dashboard where single sign-on buttons allow you to go into different carrier systems, quote, and oftentimes bind in those systems. We have our submission form area at the bottom, but really right here is what we are most excited about today. So this core section, CORE stands for Compare Our Rates Efficiently, is where you will find the GL comparative rating button. And we also have a cyber liability rating button. So really quickly on that one, you click on that button and you can get standalone cyber coverage for your small to medium sized business customers. So it's 5 to 6 questions of information, and it's going to offer you 7+ different markets. Actually, it's extremely easy to use and will allow you to compare rates very quickly between admitted, non-admitted, and a lot of the big name carriers that play in the cyber liability market. But today, let's focus on the GL comparative rating button right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to hop me straight into the system that will allow you to comparative rate GL. I do want to give you a little warning. If you have not clicked on that button, it's going to look slightly different the first time and only the first time that you click on that button. So this screenshot that I have to share with you all is what it will look like if you have not used that button. We'll ask you a question. Are you the principal agent of J.E. Brown and Associates? That's what it says for me. For you, it will say your agency name. You can say yes or no to that question, and that will adjust dynamically what you see here. It's going to ask you for the agency NPN, individual NPN, and then the principal agent's information. So what is an NPN? It's a national producer number. If you are licensed and your agency is licensed, there are different NPNs for you and the agency. If you're not sure how to get that number, I actually pulled up the website just quickly to show you where you can get that. So if you just do a simple Google search, NPN lookup, you will find this website. It says nipper.com, National Insurance Producer Registry. This form will allow you to look up your NPN or your agency NPNs really quickly. So you can search off multiple different criteria. Typically, I use license number. That's the easiest for me to get a hold of. We'll ask you a couple of questions, and then it will generate your NPN or the agency NPN. It's a very critical step that we get that information correct so we can get you access to these small commercial carriers that do require NPN numbers. So that is a once in a lifetime field or form that you will fill out. After that, you will bridge straight into the system just like you see here. I'm going to hit new customer because I was playing around in this system just yesterday. So it does oftentimes save where you are in the process. If you have to leave the screen and come back, it will allow you to do that. So we're doing general liability today. I'm going to walk you through a quick demo of what that looks like. Like I mentioned earlier, any questions? I love a good question. Try and stump me. Let's get this interactive as possible. And I see some people already have asked about who their regional sales manager is. Fantastic. I will get you that information pretty shortly today after the webinar concludes. All right, so we are looking for general liability insurance, so let's say in California. Now, I want you to imagine the use case for this. Why did we build this system for you? It's really something we wanted to do for all of our partners to save you time and make it more efficient to work with J.E. Brown. We understand it's a very tough marketplace on the personal line side. We are here for you. It's a tough market for you. It's a tough market for us also. And I know that if we work together and communicate and our teams are aligned, that we can come out the other side of this. And we built this tool because of the growing interest in small commercial business. And since our offering is expanding, rather than you having to hop into 3 or 4 different small commercial systems and put all of that information every single time, you can fill out this one form and it will generate quotes and indications for you based off of that and really go from 4 systems to 1. I do want to throw out the caveat. We are expanding quite rapidly, and this is in its early stages. So right now there are 3 carriers that you will see in this system, and that's, excuse me, Hiscox Now, USLI, and Coterie. Now that will expand in the future, but for now it's just those 3. So let's progress through this just a little bit. So general liability, California. Let's say you are working on a painting company. You have a light contractor who comes into your office who does painting services. With this tool, really in 5 minutes, you can get 3 quotes, present the quotes to him, and the ease of use and speed of which you can turn that around is really going to be a selling point for your agency. So ask the class of business, what started your search for insurance? Let's say you need to fulfill a contract requirement. And when do you want coverage to start? Let's say as soon as possible. So I'm going to continue past this screen and give it a second to load. Now, this is going to be the applicant's details. So you're insured who is looking for the insurance. I'm going to put in some dummy information, very standard stuff here. So let me blast through that really quickly. Let's say it's called Pops Painting Place. Some of these questions will be optional, but if they are available, I highly recommend putting in the information. I don't have a website for that business, so we'll leave that blank. Let's say the business started January of 2020, and we want business coverage to start, let's say tomorrow for the business. We're going to ask you, how is this business registered? Let's say it's a limited liability company. And what's the relationship to the applicant of the business? So let's say they're the owner of the business. Very important question. Gross annual revenue. Let's say it's about $200,000 in gross revenue. And then we'll ask you also the structure of the team. So there's one owner. Let's say they're taking home $80,000 annually. They have, let's say, 3 employees taking home the other $120,000 annually. It is good to put in the 0 for subcontractor if there is not any. You'll see it is very clear with what is optional and what is not. Subcontractors is not optional, so you will need to put the 0 here and the 0 for the annual payroll. And then there will be an acknowledgement that you can click through. So where is this business located? I'm going to go ahead and use our home office. So we are headquartered in Walnut Creek, California. That's where J.E. Brown is. Let's throw in an approximate square footage that this painting business utilizes. And then how many other locations does the business owner rent? Let's say no additional locations. So I got a question, does payroll information have to be entered for a GL quote? It does have to be entered on that previous screen or it won't let you proceed through. I would say if you don't have the exact specific numbers, try and use your best approximation or estimates, and you can always come back and use this system. So one of the great things is there is not going to be a limit to how many quotes you guys can run in here. We highly recommend you use this tool as much as possible when working, you and your team to be as efficient as possible when placing some commercial general liability insurance. Okay, a few more questions. Do you currently have a GL policy in effect? Let's go ahead and say yes to that, and we'll say that is with AU Gold. They are not part of this comparative rater, but let's say the policy lives with them. Have you had any claims in the past 5 years? Let's hope not. So we're going to go ahead and say no to that, and 0. The number of losses will be 0. So do you or your business supply, manufacture, or distribute any tangible goods or products? Let's say no to that. This business is just interior painting only. But there are many, many classes of businesses that you can quote in here. So on that first page, and I can always go back and show you what that looks like. You actually just want to start typing the class of business, and it's pretty intuitive where it will bring up the classes that are related. So I typed in painting and it brought up interior painting, exterior painting, and related businesses to that. Let's keep it simple for today though, and just say they only do interior painting as an activity. And then it will ask you any ancillary other services that they offer. For today, we'll just not click any of those. Now, does your business or any of your subcontractors provide any of the following services or work on any project involving the following materials or infrastructure? A lot of this is going to be pretty heavy activities. I don't think an interior painting company is going to be doing any, if not a lot of these. So we're going to say none of the above to this question. Now, it is important that something be checked off in these questions here, because then their system will not allow you to proceed. You might run into errors. So please make sure to do that. So describe your business operations. Let's just say they do residential, small job painting. Is your business owned by any other firm, corporation, entity? Many of these questions are going to be pretty standard for what we see. For today, I'm just going to go ahead and blast through those. I would recommend that when you go through this form, you do pay attention and answer those accurately and honestly for your clients. So any commercial insurance canceled or rescinded, that's a no. And then any claim against your business, that's a no as well. It's going to ask current insurance provider, let's say other, not currently insured. Now I'm going to hit this continue button, but there is this back hyperlink here that will take you to the previous screens. If you feel like you entered something incorrectly or you want to adjust something, you can use that button. So once I hit continue, what is it going to look like? That is basically it for the application that you guys have to submit to get a rate out of this system. So it was 2 or 3 pages. It's very quick, very easy. Information is not really something you need to know all of the specifics up front. So I got through that in about 5 minutes. Once you are used to the system and you are using it habitually, you can get that done in a few minutes in front of your customer, just like that, and then give them sort of the indications and quotes that it generates. So what you will see here is that the system actually tapped into Coterie, Hiscox, and USLI. It entered the information into their systems and then brought back a premium for you. The coverages are going to be here at the top. Per occurrence is going to be $1 million, aggregate limit at $2 million, and a $0 deductible. And now where do we go from here? So pretty competitive across all 3. They are all within line of each other. So if you like one of these quotes more than the other, you can simply click select for Coterie and Hiscox. Let's say you want to firm up the quote with USLI and move forward. It's going to list a number here, 866-712-6781. What is that number? So that's our instant phone quote line that's dedicated to J.E. Brown. At any time, whether you're using this system or you are just looking to quote with USLI, you can call in that number. An underwriter will answer the phone and they will walk you through the quote, and they can firm this up and get it sent to you, and they'll send J.E. Brown a copy as well so that we can get ready to bind it for you. Now, Coterie and Hiscox will behave slightly different. You'll see this button is grayed out for USLI, but if you click on Coterie, click select, it's going to throw that into your cart here. So once that's in your cart, if you hit continue to cart, you will see that it will show you the options you selected, and you can actually hit this carrier link button. So when you hit that carrier link button, it's going to bridge you into the Coterie system. That is where we've run into a hiccup here. That is where you will see the quote typically that is in the Coterie system that you just need to proceed through a couple more questions to firm up the quote and get it ready to bind. Similar with Hiscox Now, where they will allow you to go into the Hiscox Now system and go through a couple of more questions to really firm it up and then bind the risk. Now, I do want to touch on one more point with this system. So you saw Coterie, Hiscox Now, and USLI. With USLI, the classes of business that are in this comparative rater are not going to be encompassing of everything that they write. So it's mostly the small commercial classes that can be quote, and oftentimes are the smaller businesses. You can quote those through the comparative rater. Let's say you've seen the results, just Hiscox Now and Coterie, but you're pretty sure that USLI can offer competitive terms, or you just want to take another look at it. You can call into that number and speak with an underwriter so that they can give you clarification. That is also something that will progress over time, and throughout the journey of this comparative rater, as we go through different iterations, we will add more classes of business, more carriers, more features, possibly in the future, even other lines of business. So this is very early stage, but it will advance and evolve over time. So that is pretty much it for today's presentation. I wanted to keep it short and sweet for you all. I do recommend throwing in some questions here if you do not see something that you are curious about. I have another question here. Is Next Insurance included in this comparative rater? So they are not included at this time. If you see that a carrier is not included, it's probably due to system limitations or that they just don't have the tech on either side set up so that we can integrate them, but things may change in the future. So a couple other questions. Is this webinar being recorded? It is being recorded. I can send a copy over to you and you can share that with your team. I can do that in a follow-up today, as well as get you your regional sales manager's information. Can you print a copy of the quote to present to the insured? So you can print a copy of the quote to present to the insured. Like I was saying earlier, once you bridge into a carrier system, let's select Hiscox Now for purposes of that. So if I use Hiscox Now and I hit carrier link, it will bridge me into the system. Now that's mostly an indication. To get a true firm quote, you might need to answer a couple more questions. So as soon as this loads, I will show you what that looks like. And as you see, a lot of the information that I put into the comparative rater is going to transfer over. So it already knows I'm doing an interior painting company. That's a limited liability and the start date of the insurance that I want. I can really quickly show you what this looks like. So you can get to the printing of the quote. So it's asking you about GL. That's only going to be available currently. It's just GL that we can comparative rate for you. Let's see if I can just quickly blast through this without answering too many of these other questions. This one's optional. We can skip that. Business locations already pre-populated. You can see where you're at in the journey here. So we're almost to the end where you can get a printed copy of your quote. Like I said, this is pre-filled based on what we added to the comparative rater. So all of that is good. Revenue, good. And it will ask you about optional coverages that you want to add once you're in the carrier specific system. Let's just go with the GL for now. And there we go. So that's going to be the same rate that you saw earlier in the system. Quote letter PDF for you to download, print, and present to your insureds. All right. So any other questions? Go ahead and chat those in. I got a question about a specific class of business that was declined. So I will follow up with you specifically to see why that was, because I believe that class is available. And if you are at this finished screen and want to start a new customer, that link's going to be up here in the top right. You can hit save and continue and get to the starting point again. Like I was saying earlier, this dynamic class of business field is going to list many of the classes that are available. So if you want to do, let's say a photography business, you'll see if you type in photo, it will give you everything related, even if it's not in the name of the class of business. Let's say real estate, it's going to do the same thing. All right, process to bind. So once you go through the comparative rater, you bridge into the carrier system that you want the quote from. You actually will just bind it in Hiscox Now or Coterie system. It's simple and easy. Once you're in there, you just continue through the screens. It will ask you for payment information at the very end. With USLI, slightly different. Once you get your quote from this comparative rater, you just call in that number, let them know that you have this quote that's ready and you want to proceed. They will email you a copy. They'll email us a copy. In that copy, you will find all of your binding instructions that you need to get that to our office so that we can process the binder for you. All right, so after today, you'll receive some follow-up information. If you don't know who your regional sales manager is, put that in right now before I finish up today's webinar. I will have them reach out to you. If you need any additional training, any additional information on one of our products, if you have any questions at all, just reach out. Feel free to give us a call and we will get you to the right person. But I do want to thank you for joining us today, for your partnership, for all of the effort that you put into working with us, and anything you need, we're available. So have a great rest of your week and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you guys.